Sup YouTube, Captain Fox here, back again with another video, and today we are doing another Star Wars What If, and this is called What If Anakin Skywalker Turned Back to the Light on Mustafar. And yeah, I've been kind of thinking about doing this for a little bit. I know there's been a few of these kind of ones out there, but I wanted to give my own little take on it. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Our story begins with Anakin Skywalker looking over a balcony on Mustafar, staring at the lava below. Anakin looks over and just cries to himself, wondering how far he has fallen. The Jedi Knight he used to be was no longer here, but replaced by someone new, someone darker, Darth Vader. Anakin stared, wondering what he had done. It didn't really resonate with him too much, considering how fast everything had happened. The siege on the Jedi Temple, to Mustafar, and here. But before doing all of that, he cut off Mace Windu's hand, and he did it on a gut reaction. He didn't mean to do it, but he had to stop Windu from killing Palpatine. He couldn't lose his last link to saving Padme, and he couldn't risk a gamble on her life. Although he wasn't fully sure if Palpatine could even truly save her, everything just crumbled as soon as Windu was electrocuted and thrown out the window. Anakin didn't really know what to think, except he just followed suit on what Palpatine had told him, and he just became his apprentice. It didn't really resonate with him too much, but in this moment, he began to really think about what he had done. Sure, he held resentment towards the Jedi Council, but he didn't hold resentment towards the Order itself. The Jedi Council were the true threats, not the people with inside, not the children or the instructors, the ones who had nothing to do with the war at all. Not to mention he murdered younglings. How could Padme even love him after such a thing? Not to mention he just killed a bunch of separatist leaders who were helpless and defenseless against him. That he didn't feel too guilty about, but he still felt the guilt. It didn't really help with the fact that he lied to Padme's face, saying that it was all just a Jedi plot, when most likely it wasn't. He really just believed in what Palpatine was telling him, even though he knew deep down it was a lie. Even though he knew deep down there was no way that Padme could truly be saved by the likes of Palpatine. But he still did it. Why? He wondered. Why? But as he was thinking this, he saw a familiar ship coming down from space. It was Padme's ship. Anakin saw it and immediately ran over to it, feeling all of his anger wish away at that very moment. He knew that Padme can make it all go away, that she had to understand what he had done. She had to. If she didn't, then there was no reason at all for him to do what he did. Somehow, the thought of betraying his friends, Padme, the Jedi Order, was somehow worse than losing Padme. The thought of letting a Sith Lord so evil gain power truly made his stomach turn. He ran up to Padme, holding her tightly as she looked frightened about something. But Anakin could already tell what it was. Somehow, some way, she found out. And she backed off and said, Obi-Wan said terrible things, that you turned to the dark side, that you killed younglings. Obi-Wan is trying to turn you against me, Anakin said. As the two bickered amongst themselves, Obi-Wan stepped down from the ship and saw Anakin, and as Anakin saw him, as soon as Anakin saw Obi-Wan, his rage began to fill deep within. He began to feel rage unimaginable at the sight of Obi-Wan with Padme, and realized Padme had betrayed him. You liar! You're with him. You brought him here to kill me. And as soon as he was finished, his hand stretched out and began to choke her. But before Obi-Wan could even utter a word, Anakin stopped. Padme felt the tightness around her neck loosen, as Anakin began to fall to his knees and wonder, what have I done? He wondered to himself. He repeated it to himself over and over as Padme looked down at him and Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan was walking up to Anakin, but Padme stopped him and said, Annie? Anakin couldn't bear to look up at her. He couldn't look at her in the face after what he had just done. But Padme repeated it again. Annie? Anakin slowly looked up at her with sad, weary eyes, wondering what he had done. The fact that he went through so much and done so much just to save her life proceeded to choke her after that. He began to realize how far he had fallen and began to realize the scope of Palpatine's grand plan. Anakin realized that Palpatine already knew that Padme would never be with him for this. that he had planned this. He knew full well that Padme would never want this Anakin, and that Anakin would fall deeper into despair and into the dark side, fully giving himself over to it. And Anakin seemed to himself to how foolish he was. Even then, he never did fully trust the Sith Lord, but he realized how much of a fool he was to let him live and not let Windu finish the job. Anakin in this moment realized he had failed. He had failed his master, and he saw the pain in Obi-Wan's eyes as he looked at him and wondered, how could I have done this? The Order was all that Obi-Wan had left, and Anakin had stripped it from him. But even then, it didn't matter. Even without the Jedi Code, Obi-Wan still was a Jedi. And that is what he had left. And that is what Anakin could still be. Anakin rose to his feet. Obi-Wan extremely weary of him. But Anakin said, I'm sorry. I truly am. I know what I've done, I can't really fix it. But I can change the galaxy. I can stop it from becoming what Palpatine wants it to be. I can stop it all here and now. We can defeat Palpatine together. Obi-Wan looked at him with an almost untrusting way, but Obi-Wan came up to Anakin and said, It's good to have you back, my friend, Obi-Wan said. Anakin gave a slight smirk and came with Obi-Wan and Padme onto the ship, and they left Mustafar. But as they left Mustafar, Obi-Wan sensed something, as Anakin also sensed it. They both looked out the window and saw a small Imperial shuttle heading down to the surface, and Anakin felt it was Palpatine. They had left just in time, as Palpatine had arrived. With this being known, Obi-Wan thought that Yoda had failed and perished due to Palpatine. They jumped to hyperspace to pose Masa, and to Obi-Wan's surprise, Master Yoda was alive. But to Yoda's surprise, Anakin was there with them, and he wasn't excited to see him. He gave Anakin a very disappointed look, but understood he was no longer an enemy of them. Young Skywalker, fallen so far you have. I know, Anakin replied. I know, Master, but please, let me get the chance to do this right. Let me get the chance to finally bring balance to the Force and bring peace back to the galaxy. I know what I've done I can never undo, but I know I can fix it going forward. Please, Master Yoda, will you help me? Yoda stared at him for a little bit, but then Yoda nodded and gave Anakin a pat on the shoulder and said, Believe you were the chosen one, Qui-Gon did, and fulfill the prophecy you must. Anakin nodded in approval and went over to Padme as she was giving birth to two twins in the birthing room. They stared in anticipation as two newborn babies popped out. But to Anakin's surprise, nothing happened. She didn't die. I mean, he expected it, but he was just surprised that it even happened. She didn't die. Anakin at this point had already been suspected that Padme was not going to die, but it still surprised him and angered him and enraged him to the very core to know that he had done everything that he had done, all the murders, the killings, nothing. They meant nothing. All of it was all for Palpatine's gain, not for his. It was to bring Anakin to a lower point of his life, to bring him to nothing but a slave for Palpatine. Anakin quickly tempered his rage, not wanting to fall back into the same mess that he had already gotten himself into. It was exactly what Palpatine wanted, his rage and his power. His power was the key to Palpatine's plan. He had planned everything so correctly and done it with perfection. Manipulations of Anakin were all nothing but a lie. Nothing to just make him what he wanted him to be, Darth Vader. He wasn't a friend. He wasn't even an ally. He was just simply another person who was taking advantage of Anakin. Someone like the Council, he thought. He thought the Council was his enemy, but his true enemy was Palpatine. Anakin would make the Sith Lord suffer for his treachery. Anakin stared at the two twins as they both named him Luke and Leia, the happy family that Anakin always wanted, and he had it with Padme. She was safe, the children were safe, but he knew that wouldn't last long with Palpatine still out there, free, having his way with the galaxy. destroying it and corrupting the Republic into a galactic empire. By now, Palpatine must think he's dead, and he knew full well that it wouldn't end with him, but he would come for the children instead. Anakin would make sure that didn't happen. The children and Anakin, along with Padme, went into hiding on Tatooine. It is where they would spend the last couple years raising their children and preparing them to be the new Jedi Order, to be the future of the Jedi, and to help him bring down Palpatine and his galactic empire. They would sync up with the rebellion on multiple occasions, helping them do little skirmishes on different planets, becoming well known throughout the galaxy. By now, Palpatine had realized that Anakin did not die. As he realized it in the Force, he felt Anakin's presence. It was alive and well, but not in the dark side, but fully cemented into the light. This obviously enrages Palpatine, and knowing that Anakin was a complete failure. Palpatine thought that Anakin was just another Jedi that would need to be taken care of. He would find someone more suitable, more powerful even. But that would be a problem. He wanted the children, but he couldn't find them. Padme had completely disappeared after the events of Order 66 and the establishment of the Galactic Empire. There was no sign of her anywhere, and there was no way he could find the children in time. It's been too long. By now, the children have already grown powerful in the Force, and it's most likely too cemented in the Jedi ways. With Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Anakin training them truly was a threat, and that would be a threat that Palpatine would soon later see as his downfall. Palpatine already understood the level of the threat, so he sent out his Inquisitors to try and hunt them down and kill them. But, to no avail, every Inquisitor he sent met their end to the Skywalker family. Palpatine decided to start sending troops, full garrisons, to take out the Jedis, but to no avail, there was no success. The Jedi were just too powerful, along with Master Yoda and Skywalker twins, along with the Chosen One, not to mention the Master of the Chosen One. The Skywalker family was just too much for Palpatine's army. Palpatine needed to confront them, eventually, but he couldn't confront them directly. It was too dangerous. It was too much. He knew he needed someone, something else, to finally turn the tide. He knew, out there, somewhere, there lied an apprentice that he had forgotten about long ago. He would search for him and bring him back into his fold. Meanwhile, Anakin and his children were celebrating as they had just liberated the planet of Ryloth against the Imperial occupation, until suddenly they felt a tremor in the Force. A familiar dark presence came over Obi-Wan as he felt it, as Anakin had never felt this dark presence. It wasn't like Palpatine's, but it was different. Not as powerful, but definitely still powerful. Obi-Wan uttered the words, Maul. As the ship touched down onto the ground, and two Inquisitors come out, in the middle of the center was Maul. He stared at Kenobi with such hatred. Kenobi, I see your apprentice Skywalker still lives. And your children. I see why the Emperor sent me here now. They will do fine replacements for him. You won't get the chance to touch them, Skywalker said, with an almost hateful glare as he tried to contain himself. The Skywalker twins readied themselves with lightsabers, as Obi-Wan and Anakin did. Maul smirked and said, Killing you two will be simple. And Kenobi, I will make sure to take your head and mount it on my wall. They launched at each other, full powered. The Chosen One alongside his master, the twins, against Maul. They combated him, fought him, but his agile skills helped him avoid certain death. Maul spun around real fast, kicking Obi-Wan to the ground, and tried to do a downward slash, but his strike was intercepted by Anakin. Anakin punched Maul in the face with his metallic hand and kicked him in the groin, knocking down the Sith apprentice. As Anakin was going to make the killing blow, Maul had used a force push on Anakin, sending him flying back into a wall. Anakin jumped to his feet, as Obi-Wan tried to jump to his feet as well, but Maul came out of nowhere, slashing a cut across his leg, knocking the Jedi Master back down. Anakin tossed his lightsaber to stop him, and Anakin had succeeded. Maul was too occupied for his need for revenge that he didn't notice Anakin's lightsaber spinning at him, and it cut right through the Sith Lord's arm, clattering his lightsaber to the ground. Maul screamed in anguish and anger as he looked at his now fallen arm, detached from his body, and looked at Anakin with extreme hatred, and ran at Anakin with one arm. Anakin didn't even really need to do much here. Anakin called his lightsaber back, still ignited, using the Force, impaling it through Maul's back. Maul looked down and saw the blue light extruding from his chest as he fell to 2 knees and slumped over, dead. Anakin and Obi-Wan were both relieved that they had stopped the Sith assassin. But in this moment, the two realized that if Maul had found them, no doubt Palpatine did as well. Was he coming here right now? But as they were getting ready to ask themselves this question, their question was answered. As they felt a tremor in the Force, something dark was approaching, something evil, heinous. It was so intoxicating that Anakin almost couldn't breathe for a second, but he recognized the presence immediately as soon as he felt it. He said, "Palpatine, he's here." Obi-Wan looked around as he saw a lightsaber ignite. A crimson red lightsaber went up in the air and then illuminated the face of Palpatine with an evil smile on his face. "My apprentice, I thought you died, but it seems you are still alive, and now you will pay for your treachery. You sit here with relics of the past. Well, you could have had more, the future, the power I could give you, but you squandered it for a life of rebellion." Anakin snarled at Palpatine as he launched at him, but Palpatine was ready. He de-ignited his lightsaber and shot a torrent of lightning at Anakin. Anakin was completely caught off guard as he was in midair and flew back into the ground. Palpatine launched at Anakin, but Obi-Wan intercepted, striking at Palpatine as Palpatine struck back with ferocious power unlike anything Obi-Wan had ever seen. Obi-Wan was completely underprepared for this fight, as he knew he wasn't really a challenge for the Sith Lord. He could defeat Maul, probably Count Dooku, and most likely Ventress, but this level of power was different. This was unlike anything he had ever seen. It was too much for Obi-Wan to take, but before he was about to be cut down, Anakin launched himself into the air, intercepting Palpatine's strike and kicking him to the face. Even with this ferocious kick, Palpatine's smile only got wider, and he launched himself at Anakin and Obi-Wan, going harder at the two. But then the twins came out of nowhere, striking at Palpatine. "Ah, so I see. The children of the Chosen One are here. They will make excellent apprentices for my empire." This comment enraged Anakin and made his blood boil. To know that he would try to take his children from him like he tried to take Padme. He wouldn't allow this to happen. He knew in this moment he needed to calm himself. He couldn't let himself be too angry, as it would distract him from doing his true purpose. He needed to be the Chosen One here and now. He needed to let the power flow through him in this very moment. He launched himself at Palpatine, striking harder and harder against him, going to town, doing whatever it took to bring down the Sith Lord. Palpatine was completely caught off guard by this newfound power within Anakin, but he still kept on. He struck at him shooting lightning, but Sidious was surprised when the lightning that was shot at Anakin went directly into Anakin's palm and he absorbed it. Since Order 66, Anakin had been doing some training, preparing for this moment to finally be the Chosen One, needing to do what needed to be done. He struck at Palpatine with ferocious speed and power brimming from him. Palpatine was completely caught off guard as he tried to strike back, seeing this newfound strength in the Chosen One, seeing that the Chosen One prophecy might actually come true. Palpatine began to feel fear as Anakin approached him the same way he approached Count Dooku on the Invisible Hand. Palpatine knew he couldn't just let Anakin take him down like this. He knew he couldn't let his empire be for nothing. He decided to destroy him right here and now, and that it needed to be done. He shot a torrent of Force lightning at the Chosen One, but the Chosen One used a lightsaber to deflect it back at the Sith Lord. They were stuck in a gridlock as Anakin was shooting all of Palpatine's power of lightning back into him. the Sith Lord began to feel himself be torn apart from the inside out. As he began to feel the lightning was too much, he couldn't stop doing it. It just kept going because he was just stuck in his own lightning. Anakin kept deflecting it back at him, causing more and more damage. Anakin began to step forward, walking up to the Sith Lord and grabbing him by the throat and impaling his lightsaber into the Sith Lord's chest. Obi-Wan and the twins were completely astonished by the level of power that came from Anakin. Anakin killed the Sith Lord with almost a rather ease, a scary ease at that. With Palpatine dead, this made a way for Padme to get back into the Senate and convert the Empire back into a republic. She became Empress and began to use the Empire for good deeds, and dismantled the Death Star. Peace was finally restored to the galaxy as balance was restored to the Force. Anakin had fulfilled his destiny. He did what he needed to do, and no longer was he needed. His children were the chosen ones for the future of the Jedi. Anakin did what he needed to do and decided to go back to being a father. But at the same time, he would continue to train his children to be the next generation of Force users of the galaxy. And that, my friends, is the story of, the Star Wars What If. I like that one. I really liked it. I don't know. I went a different route with it. I don't know. I just thought it would be cool if Anakin just really, if that actually happened. Imagine that, if Anakin actually turned back to the light side and, that all happened, you know what I mean. But I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I hope you guys like, subscribe, hit that bell. Peace out, everybody. God bless.